episode 7, and we are ahead of game week 7. So after a reasonable good game week for myself last week, mainly thanks to Cold King Cole Palmer and a reasonable captaincy on Sunday with Romero, up to 163rd overall. So a few things to go through this week. Biggest issue is Van Heck, who is going to be out until after the next international break, not this one. So that's mid-November. So we're going to look at some replacements for him. I've had a question about Henderson and goalkeepers, and a couple of questions looking further ahead at December fixtures. So if you're in the chat live, so that's mid-November. Sorry about that. My phone just catching up with the live chat. Yeah, so if you're here and watching live, drop us a like, drop us a question, and I'll go cover something else at the end. But first of all, let's get into Van Heck. So these are the ownership stats, and we can see here there is Mr. Van Heck. Currently owned by 27% of the game, so 1 in 4 of us has him. I only brought him in about 3 weeks ago, maybe even less than that, and it's already time to go. So before we get stuck into Mr. Van Heck, just a quick look at the transfers ins and outs. Sort of at the top of the ownership charts, I've got here all the way down to Semenyo, who was brought in by quite a few people on Monday, possibly. Well, not really for Van Heck, he didn't lose many owners. So yeah, anybody that bought in a Bournemouth player, there was a Semenyo, and Tavernier was brought in by, so round about 80, 90 people bought those players in. Well done if you did. There was some more Rodri sales out. Morgan Gibbs-White was sold by quite a few. Tyler Dibbling was brought in by 26 or so people, me included. He really could. There's somebody asked about the best enabling players. If he continues to play and play up front, he could become the best enabling player in the entire game, in my opinion. It's a bit of an if, but Southampton haven't looked great. He looked one of the better players on Monday night. He stayed on the pitch all game as well, even when Martin, he was making changes left, right and centre. Like I say, they didn't look very good, but at 2.1 must be the cheapest playing player in the game at that price. He's he could be one to stick around. And then others to lose ownership. Isak lost a lot more. He's got a broken toe, we think, and he's not going to be playing this weekend, in my opinion. Those that moved, Ollie Watkins picked up some traction. He was brought in by over 40. Did well for Villa, scored on Sunday against Ipswich. And there was more people buying in Cole Palmer and Bukayo Saka. I imagine those that don't have Palmer will be looking for a way on this Sunday to get him in. He's going to play on more Sundays than pretty much everybody. He's not in Chelsea's European squad. So when their fixtures follow European matches, he will be in the team. So right, let's move across and have a look at some player data. So I'm going to go on to the points filter by game week and position. And I'm going to filter this down to, say, 3.5. So give everybody 0.7 for their Van Heck. So if they've got that in the budget, I'm going to take off goalkeepers. And I'm looking here, just the last 3 game weeks, really. So after the first international break, this is what I'm looking at. And we can see top of the shop is Dwight McNeil. He's 3.4. So if you've got 0.6 in the bank and you don't have 5 midfielders already, well, plus I guess if you don't only have 3 defenders, then there could be a move there. Defenders themselves, so sitting at the top of these charts, we've got Guehi and Dalot from Palace and Manchester United. James Justin, after his 2 goals for Leicester at Arsenal on Saturday, he's sitting there as well at 2.6. We have Balabar, Maviadidi as a striker at 3.1. Rodgers, again, another striker. I mean, he's doing great guns for Villa, isn't he? So if he's probably, along with Semenyo, the best at the similar price replacements, but it does mean that you need to have that 3rd striker slot available. And as we have discussed pretty much every week on this show, strikers are the premium. So underneath that, we've got Ndidi, 19 points. Mitchell, another Palace defender. Romero is 50% owned. So if you haven't got Romero and you've got that budget, so you'd need 0.7 to get him in, he could be good swap. Smith Rowe, Anderson, playing now at Fulham. It's not much bonus around with these guys though. And then we see Van Heck. Obviously didn't play last week, and he's still near the top of the budget players, even though he's only played twice. So if we have a look at here, these are all the points that everybody's got. Started with Neil down to Hinshelwood. Shame I think Hinshelwood, he's a midfielder in this game. It's a bit of a shame, really. Yeah, there he is, because he's 2.1. So could be a way to go. If you're looking for a Brighton midfield, I suggest Balabar. He looks like he's doing well now. Scored a goal and an assist. Tackle bonus. So these are the points per 90. Let's have a look. There's somebody standing right at the top there. That's Maviadidi. He hasn't played very much, I guess, but he's in the starting lineup now, so he should be getting some more minutes. And next chart along we have, let's go and move this off. We don't need this, so should make the screen a bit bigger. There we go. So this is by ownership. So we can see here we've got Romero and Smith Rowe highly owned. Van Heck there, as I say, 27%, and 18 is Dunk. So if you've got a bit of budget, you can move to Dunk. I'm not convinced that would be my idea. You're going to get some passing points, but Brighton, they're coming into a bad run of fixtures. We'll have a look at the calendar in a minute, but Brighton's run isn't great. Let's have a look here. So this is the total points against points per million. So Guehi and Dalot and Justin at the top there. And this is on the points per million per 90. So again, we can see who's doing well in that particular metric. And we have a look at the tier points. And this is quite interesting. So over the last 3 game weeks, we've got Bednarek and Pinnock. Bednarek's actually the highest points, highest tier points of anybody in the entire game. He's got 19 in the first 6 weeks. He's got 10 in the last 3. Pinnock there, he's 2.8. So if you're looking for a defensive player and you're going to go back to Van Heck, Pinnock, we'll have a look at the calendar. You can see that they've got 3 nice home fixtures and a couple of away ones that might have looked tricky at one stage, but maybe not so much now. So if we move this along again, this is the ownership. So these are, as we can see there, you've only got Smith Rowe, Van Heck, Munoz, Semenyo above. Well, Semenyo's nearly at 1 in 5. Everybody else there, João Gomez, Robinson, Tavernier and Dibbling, they're all sort of not very highly owned at all, less than 15%, and most of them are less than 10, quite a lot less than like 4. We look here, points per 90, so this is who's been doing the best. So Jean Duran, again, striker in the game. I think he might get a start, as Ramsey looks like he might be injured for this week, so could be Duran comes in. Shane Wisser got injured. He'd have been a perfect replacement in the striker slot, really. But a lot of people got Mbeumo. We saw on the previous chart how much he'd gone up. And that's their points per million. So McNeil sitting at the top there, 9.12. It could be. He's 11th in the overall scoring now. Playing number 10. Everton have improved pretty much since the takeover got sorted out. It looks like things are on the up there. Dyche never seems to start a season well. Always takes a bit of time to get his team going, but they look like they're going down at 3.4. McNeil, if he continues to play number 10, he's going to be getting assists, and as we saw last week, 2 goals. Could be ideal. And let's just move this across one more. It's the last chart here. So this is the points per million per 90. So you can see there, McNeil sitting at the top of that by quite a distance. We'll go across and we'll look at the calendar, so we can see who's got what coming up. So we think that up until the next international break, so if I just hide these fixtures, click on there, hide, move that back across. So this is the section of games we're looking at. So there's 6 games really until after the next international break. So we've got, it's only 5 games, Ian, you can't count. It's only 5 games for everybody, so there's 1 before this international break, and then we're going to have 4 before the next international break. So Brighton's games would have been for Van Heck: Tottenham at home, Newcastle away, Wolves at home, Liverpool away, and Man City at home. So not ideal. Wolves is the only good fixture out of those, really. Newcastle at St James's is always tricky, and then visiting Liverpool and playing Manchester City is not going to be easy. But if we look 2 down here at Brentford, they have Wolves at home, followed by Manchester United away, first match after the international break. Could be a new manager bounce for Man United, I suppose, if Ten Hag gets the old tin tack after Sunday. They were terrible last week. I didn't see last night's game, to be fair, but if you need a Harry Maguire equaliser to draw a game, not everything's rosy in the garden, shall we say. And then Brentford, they play Ipswich at home. They've got a trip to Fulham, which is not easy, London derby. But Fulham they've only kept 1 clean sheet. That was last week. They seem to score in a lot of games though. And then they've got Bournemouth at home. So in my opinion, if you're going for a like for like, then someone like a Pinnock, he's not guaranteed to pick you up any tiers. He's been in tackles more than passing. He was in passing last week, but that might have more to do with the fact they were playing West Ham, who often give up a lot of possession. But Ipswich gave up possession, Wolves give up possession. So it could be that he might be in some passing and clean sheets in those 2 games, if nothing else. And then if you're going to go on the cheaper end of things, you could go to one of the Ipswich players. They've got a reasonable set of fixtures. West Ham away, Everton at home, Brentford away, they play each other. Leicester at home, which should be good. And then their 5th fixture is an away fixture to Tottenham. So if we have a look at my team, this is what it's currently looking like. So we have Van Heck here, and I have 0.4 in the bank. So it looks to me that my choices are a straight swap to someone like Pinnock, in the hope that Brentford can do the business. Or do we look at finding a bit of budget elsewhere? I have 4 defenders, so I can go down to 3 and move Van Heck up to McNeil. And I think the easiest or best way for me to do that would be to move Henderson on. We can have a look at the keeper stats. The He's not doing as badly now because he's got that one clean sheet. But if I move him down to Muric of Ipswich, who is 2.5, and move Van Heck up to McNeil at 2.8, McNeil is 3.4, that would give me 0.1 in the bank, which means that when Van Heck is back, I can move Robinson up to Van Heck and use that 0.1. So that's something I am considering. Take a bit of a further look maybe tomorrow, see if we get any other team news or anything, and see where we lie. So if we go back to the calendar, and if I put those fixtures back in again, we can see that this is Fulham's trot. So they have Wolves at home on November the 23rd, Saturday. And then they go to Tottenham, play Brighton, then they've got Arsenal, Liverpool. And at Brighton, when hopefully Van Heck is back, they move into single game day against Southampton on the 29th. So that could be good to go back in for the captaincy. And then they play Fulham, Leicester, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brentford before they have trips to Villa and play Arsenal. So that could be a potential move for me, I think. But obviously I'd need to keep the 0.1 in the bank. Otherwise I'd look at Hermanson from Leicester, and he would cover the single game day against Nottingham Forest. So lots to think about. I'm just going to have a look at these keepers. If I move that, I'm going to put goalkeeper back in here, and I'm going to take the others out, and we'll have a look and see exactly how Mr. Henderson is getting on in comparison to everybody else. So the last 3 game weeks, Sanchez sits at the top. He has 30 points, and he's got 2 clean sheets and 8 save points there. Onana is second. He's had 29 points. So, and then there's a drop down to Raya, Vicario, Muric, Sells, and then Henderson. Over the last 3 weeks, he's actually, it's like the 7th best keeper. And a bit like the old Sky game, there doesn't appear to be too much of a divide between the keepers, shall we say. The scores are closer than in most of the other positions. Let's filter that for the whole season. So even for the whole season now, we can see Henderson here is sitting in 11th. So he's the cheapest keeper, well, amongst the cheapest keepers. So David asked a question of what to do with Henderson. He said, do you want to move him straight on? Thinks that Flecken is probably the best at that bracket, and I would tend to agree. Or is there some logic in moving to Sells to cover both single game days against Crystal Palace and Leicester, and then, because that's a Monday, Friday, and then moving across to keeper of choice the following Saturday? So I see merit in both ways. I'm not expecting Forest to keep 2 clean sheets. I mean, they could do. Palace haven't played well. Leicester haven't played that well. And if Sells does keep 2 clean sheets and makes a couple of saves, you could be looking at, well, best case scenario is 50-pointer, isn't it? Roughly 50 points as captain over 2 consecutive days. So looking at how many points there are being scored, say hundreds a good week, I guess. Certainly on a single week, and especially if there's only two match days, a Saturday, Sunday. If you only got 2 captains, you get 100 points, you're doing quite well. You get 50 of those from one player, then yeah, what's not to like? I guess looking at it Chris Wood probably be the best captain if you can fund that, and you've got the position. I don't know whether I'll be moving a player. It'd need to be moving somebody into that position as like a daisy chain on somebody else, I don't think. I won't be taking anybody out to bring the same player back in, I don't think, to cover that single game day. And then John asked a question regarding fixtures on the first midweek of December. So I'm just going to move my fixtures up to here because I've already put a bit of work into this, I think. Let's just move this up to the end of November. So this is the Friday, 29th of November. Oops, too far. Let's move that back one. So we can see here there's already some matches that have been moved to Sunday, the 1st of December. We've got Chelsea against Villa, Manchester United against Everton, Tottenham against Fulham, and Liverpool against Manchester City. So the first three of those are moved because of European matches the previous Thursday. And then obviously Liverpool v Man City is going to be the Super Sunday game that day. But that does mean there's a knock-on effect on the following midweek. So the only matches that can be played on the Tuesday now are the two that I've penciled in here. So Ipswich against Crystal Palace and Leicester against West Ham. They can be Tuesday games, and I think they will be. And then I think it's Liverpool and Aston Villa have to be on the Saturday, the following weekend. So will need to be played on the Wednesday. So I think there will be two matches probably played on the Thursday. They like to have a 7:30 and 8:15 on these midweeks. Arsenal v Manchester United can be played on the Thursday, so I think it probably will. Then your other big games is probably Newcastle against Liverpool. So that'll be like the headline match, I imagine, on the Wednesday. Then Arsenal v Manchester United will be a headline match on the Thursday. And another one that can be moved to the Thursday is Bournemouth v Tottenham. So I think we will end up with two double game days, and Wednesday I think we'll have the other remaining 6 fixtures. So I hope that helps you, John. And then he also asked about what matches might be moved to single game days in December. So we have a look at December's fixtures. Just move that across. So there we go. So that's the first midweek. So then we come on to 7th of December. Now that precedes a European week, so there might not be a Monday night football that week. So I doubt there will be a single game day on the 7th of the first full weekend in December. On the 14th week, there's a couple of fixtures, I think, that could be moved to either Friday or Monday. There's the old M23 derby, Brighton against Crystal Palace, which Sky do love to cover. There's many a day that you think, why is that game been picked? And Brighton v Palace is often one of those. So that could be a Friday or a Monday. And then there's another one, because this is before the Carabao Cup quarter-final round. I think it'll be in the middle of December. And the other one that looks like it could have a chance of being picked is Bournemouth against West Ham. I think that could be moved to either the Friday or the Monday. And then we come to the 21st, so the last week before Christmas. So I think that the Super Sunday game that day will be Tottenham against Liverpool. And I think there's a good chance that Aston Villa against Manchester City will be a single game on Monday. So that'll be the 23rd. And then there's a question about what happens with the Boxing Day fixtures. How many days are Amazon going to be allowed to move those fixtures around on? There'll definitely be one on Friday. will they be allowed to move it to a Saturday as well? There's no sort of concrete information on that. The fixture round for the following weekend has already been stated to start from the Sunday. So which days will they be allowed to play matches on? Will they be allowed to get all the way up to New Year's Day? So if there's matches allowed to be played on the Saturday from the Boxing Day round, and there's matches allowed to be played on the Sunday, there could be a Monday night game on the 30th. There won't be games, I don't think, on New Year's Eve the 31st, but with New Year's Day being a bank holiday, there could be matches that are allowed to be moved across to there. So it would be difficult to know until nearer the time. I mean, I've a feeling it might be Wolves v Manchester United could be moved to a Friday. The ones that look, if they could go to a Saturday, that'll be the games that they want to televise then from the following round on this, the 29th round, on the Wednesday. So difficult to know is, and this is from somebody that does spend a bit of time following these things, until we get clarification on which days they'll be allowed to move the Boxing Day and the Sunday the 29th fixtures to, as to how many single game days. If they're only allowed to move it to the Friday, I think it'll just be one fixture, and that will be Wolves against Manchester United on the Friday, and then they could go with 12:30, 3 o'clock, 5:30 and 8 o'clock maybe on Boxing Day itself. There'll probably be 4 individual slots on Boxing Day as it is. If I remember right, they don't have to worry about a blackout on Thursday games, so you can show one at 3 o'clock. Then the Sunday games, will TNT want a early kick-off on a Sunday? I think they'd rather, if they're allowed to, I think they'd rather get the match moved to a New Year's Day and have it in the afternoon. You could probably do something like 2 o'clock and 4:30 or 5 o'clock, something like that on New Year's Day. They could even have a night game, really. So I think will definitely be some single game days there, but exactly which they are, it's difficult to know. But by the time we get after the next international break, the upcoming one now, so the fixtures when we return are... So we return on the 19th of October, which is 6 weeks before December, isn't it? So it could be that it's by the following week, where we've got matches here on the 25th, that Friday. I think we should know the December schedule by then. Premier League said they need to give five weeks notice for moving games around. So, and then there's the semi-finals of the League Cup round, the January the 4th fixtures, and then the following weekend after that, so January the 11th, that's when the FA Cup is, and then we come back to a midweek round here, Tuesday, Wednesday. So those fixtures will move to different days. There'll almost certainly be a Thursday there as well, but that'll be based on the FA Cup, and we normally get the draw for that sometime early December, I think, after the second round's been completed. Okay, so that's answered that one. So let's have a look at the fixtures for this week and see what's going to happen. Just move these back to 4th of October. Okay, so fixtures this week. So first up in the Jurgen Klopp slot, Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Palace have been poor. Liverpool have been quite good. Often these early games are a bit underwhelming. I think we'll go for Liverpool, narrow win, maybe 2-1. 2-1 win to Liverpool. Arsenal against Southampton. I think there's a fair chance that Arsenal are going to score the most goals this week, I think. Southampton were dreadful on Monday night. Arsenal full of beans, having beaten a fair PSG. I mean, they're not great, but they're certainly better than Southampton. So, yep, Arsenal, I think they'll win quite handily. 3-0 maybe? 4 possibly? Depends on how early they get one. And with the international break coming up, it all depends on how Arteta wants to take his players off. Brentford v Wolves. I think Brentford, can they score in the first minute again? That'll be the 4th game on the trot. I highly doubt it, but I think they will have too much for Wolves. Wolves have improved. They were reasonably against Liverpool last week, but I think Brentford will have too much. I'm going to go for Brentford to win 2-1. Leicester against Bournemouth. Can Leicester get the first win of the season? None of the promoted sides have got a win yet. I think Bournemouth will probably be too strong for them. I think Leicester will score. Bournemouth, I think, will win the game. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Bournemouth. Man City against Fulham. I think Man City will bounce back after last Saturday's draw at Newcastle. It's fair to say they are going to miss Rodri, but I think they'll have too much for Fulham. I'm going to go for City to win 2-0. West Ham against Ipswich. Could be some pressure on Lopetegui if West Ham... I mean, they've lost 3 times at home already, which is not great. Can they beat Ipswich? I think they possibly can. I'll go for a tight 1-0 win. A late winner for Jarrod Bowen. And then the evening game is Everton against Newcastle. Everton are improving. Newcastle are struggling. Isak looks like he's out with his broken toe. I think Everton might just get a 2nd consecutive win. I'm going to go for 2-1. Whether McNeil to do something? Possibly. Yeah, 2-1 Everton to win. Then the Sunday games, we have Aston Villa against Manchester United in what might be Ten Hag's last game. I think Villa will win. They beat Bayern. Duran again off the bench. Yeah, Villa to win. Will United score? Well, they're going to need to score. Yeah, Villa to win 2-1. And I'm going to go for Duran to get the winner off the bench. Unless he starts. Maybe he's going to be one of these players that looks really good as a super sub and then given the start he can't do it. We shall see. Be entertaining watch, I think. I think Villa to win 2-1. Chelsea against Nottingham Forest. Chelsea looked on fire last week. Brighton didn't do them any favours, but they did look good. Unchanged team won handily again in Europe yesterday. So, yeah, Chelsea to win. Forest won't make it as easy as Brighton did. I think Chelsea... I mean, there's one that we didn't discuss in the replacements for Van Heck. Colwill is fairly cheap in this, 3.1, I think. Chelsea's fixtures do turn after this week, though. Chelsea to win 2-0 and Palmer to score again, I imagine. And then Brighton against Tottenham. This could be anything. Both teams defending on the halfway line. Should be a good watch. It's actually in the 16:30 slot. Strange that you normally get Villa v Man United. You'd think of going that one, but I think Tottenham. Well, they didn't miss Son much, did they? Absolutely slaughtered United. Got a good win in Europe as well, with a fairly changed side. I think it was only when the keeper plays every game. Porro played, and most of the others were rested. So. Yeah, Tottenham to win. I'm going to go score goals galore, 3-2 win. Okay, and as I said, for my team, a couple of options. It'll either be Van Heck sideways to Brentford, or I am definitely keen on the option of McNeil and moving Henderson. We shall see. There's a quick check in the chat. So, Oh, Windy's in. Evening all. Missed the deadline again on Saturday. Windy, that's twice on the trot. Or twice this season anyway. Second time in 3 weeks, he says. Intend to take out Rodri for Palmer. And dear, well, you missed a few there. I would suggest doing that on Sunday. If you've got the funds to do it, I would definitely do it, Windy. And evening to FPL Sparta. Tim, who says he probably won't win the league. No, me neither, Tim. And John, who asked the fixture questions, he's in as well. So thanks, everybody. If you're in the chat, leave us a like. If you watch the video later, leave us a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, please do. And we'll be back. So it's international break coming up, and I have the good fortune to be going away. Again, I hear you say. So I'm not sure exactly what the content will look like next week and the week after. I'll see what I can get organised. It might be stuff that I end up sending it out on tweets rather than doing it live, but we shall see how we get on. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy the football, enjoy the weekend, and we shall see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.